and welcome to my channel, Fred Makes Things, and our long-awaited, much-anticipated temperature quilt review video, update video for you. In this video, we are going to be talking about 3 different quilts that I am currently working on, and kind of break down what I'm doing with each one of them. As you know, if you've been following me for a little bit of time, this is last year's temperature quilt, 2023. I'd been promising a full review on it since December, and on Friday, I finally got this gray color in for me to finish all of my edging detailing. So I did that Friday. Saturday, I cleaned it all up, made it perfect, like as nice as I think I can make it. And then today we are talking about it. I'm filming this in the morning, and then in the afternoon I'm hoping to take it over to a local long arm quilter for her to finish it up for me. Because I spent so much time on this, I didn't want to mess around with trying to quilt it myself. I decided to take it to a professional and get that done instead. And then, yeah, so this is going to be in 3 parts. Part 1 is talking about this guy with sub parts in it as well, because I have a bit to say about it. Part 2 is going to be showing you this year's temperature quilt and how I'm kind of, well, it's a change up, but it's also not a change up. And you'll see what I mean when I get to that. Unless, of course, you've listened to some of my other videos, and then you will know that, like, you'll know what's kind of coming with that. And then part 3 isn't temperature quilt related, but it is quilt related, and that is going to be talking about the block of the month club or quilt project that I bought, and my initial thoughts on that and how the first block is going. Couple things before we actually start talking about my lovely quilt in front of you, or quilt top in front of you. I'll just do like hopefully a tiny bit of housekeeping, and that is to say hello to all of the new subscribers, to the original subscribers, to everybody who's tuning into this video. Hi and welcome to my channel. If you would like to have your voice heard and some of the things that I'm thinking about doing this year, some of the changes I might be making to the channel, do watch my channel plans video. Here it is linked for you. Part 3 deals with some questions that I have about, like, a bit of content creation, suggestions on new subscription boxes, things like that. So if you don't have the time to watch the full video, I understand. But if you want to head over to part 3, it should be in the timestamps and whatnot for you. Do let me know what you think in the comment section of that video. But in this video, let me know what you think about this video, about these colors, this styling, these quilts. All thoughts are always much appreciated. And if you want to follow along with my journey for this year, I am going to tell you that a middling Wednesday of each month is going to be a dedicated temperature quilt and block of the month update video for you. It's going to be smack dab between my Sewers Club project unboxing and my Sewers Club project review videos. There's always like a gap week in between the two where I fill it with other things, other sewing related things. And this year we are going to be talking block of the month and temperature quilt update. So if you're curious about any of that, think about subscribing. Maybe check out some of the other stuff I've got going on as well. But yeah, let's talk this video, this quilt, and all of that jazz. So I'm going to link my temperature quilt planning video here for you if you want to go back to last January and see what I was thinking. But a little bit of a backstory is that I had been seeing a lot of crochet and knitting temperature quilt videos on Instagram or updates, and I thought that was really cool. And I decided I don't really crochet or knit. I'm going to try out maybe making a temperature quilt instead. I kind of looked at a couple of inspiration photos, but I decided, as is in my nature, to wing it. So I ordered up a jelly roll from Missouri Star Quilt Company, I believe they're called. And I think it's called 40 Whimsy and 40 Karat Gems or something along those lines, because I figured if I had a built-in gradient for me already, I could work with those colors and then build off of that by ordering more fabric as I went along throughout the year and what have you. So that is what I did. I got the jelly roll in, I picked my colors. I had already known that I was going to be doing 3.5-inch squares, and I knew that I was going to try to make my warmest part the largest part and my coldest part the smallest part. So each one of these finished 3-inch squares that you see, roughly 2 inches is the high of the day and the other inch is the low of the day. This did result in some wastage, but the scraps that were larger than 1 inch wide I did keep for scrappy projects in the future. I also ended up pulling 11 colors out of the quilt for us to work on. As I show you the color on the quilt, I did this really pretty like flying geese border. So that kind of shows you how the gradient works its way out. But as I show you the gradient that I used, the colors in the temperatures in Fahrenheit will pop up on the screen for you, as well as like the little swatch card thing that I took, or that I screenshotted right off of Missouri Star Quilt Company to give you the official color and whatnot of it. So let's see if it looks like I know what I'm doing. Also, I always do this to myself and I say, oh, I'm going to insert 1,000,000 pictures, because you know that's like super easy to edit for myself. But anyway, so let's just start talking about the gradient. And when I'm done talking about the gradient, I will pop up a photo of this finished quilt top for you, so that you can kind of see how all of the colors mesh together. I just don't have enough filming space, and instead of trying to make a large enough filming space to show it all to you, I figured I might as well just like pop in 1,000,000 photos. So anyway, first color in the gradient that we started with is this orange tone here. What I actually did is pick like my middle color that I really liked, and then I worked out from there. But for the sake of this video, we'll say the first color is this orange, and it goes from 31 to 35 degrees Celsius. Then the red goes from 26 to 30 degrees Celsius. Then the pink is 21 to 25. Then this kind of purpley pink tone is 16 to 20. Then this dark purple tone here is 11 to 15 degrees. Then our light purple, am I still on the screen? Barely. Then our light purple is 6 to 10 degrees. And then we'll flip it around. Open it up for the last row. Then we have this light blue at 1 to 5 degrees. And then the transition to freezing is between this light blue and this kind of medium blue. And then, so light blue is 1 to 5. And then this one here is 0 to -4, this kind of mid-tone blue. Then we have -9 to oh, let's try that one again. -5 to -9. And this one here is where I live in Connecticut. This is basically the coldest that we see for the most part. And then we have outliers, minus 15 to minus 20 in this really dark blue. And then anything that's below minus 20 degrees got this green tone. And I did the green and the orange to kind of signify kind of like the very outer reaches of my temperature guide. And also if anything went higher than 35 degrees or lower than minus 20 degrees, I was going to do white and black to show like how crazy the temperature got. As I'm looking at this though, I see a dark green. So I'm not sure. Maybe the dark green is below minus. I don't know. I don't know why. There's two different greens here. 15, 20. Maybe this dark green gets below minus 25. I'll have to look and see what the historic weather is and why there's one dark green on here. For a statistic for you, there's only one of this mid green and one of this dark green. There's a couple of this dark blue that you could see. Some of the cooler blue, but most of like the cold sits in the minus 5 to minus 9 category. Sorry, I just noticed that when I was planning out the grid, I didn't realize that these were two different greens. My ability to pay attention, hey? But anyway, that's the gradient. The swatches were up on the screen. I don't know if I swatched darker than this mid-tone blue, maybe this dark blue, but that's it. And then I just went about assembling the quilt. So each 3x3 square that I did, I made sure one pointed in one direction and then the other pointed up. Like in my first row, we'll say, my day 1 pointed to the side, day 2 pointed up, day 3 to the side, day 4 up, and so on and so forth for a row of 16. And then I moved down to the next one, and then because I had my first one start pointing to the side, my next one pointed in a different direction, either up or down, depending on my whim, really. So the second one was down, and then my next row pointed to the side, a different side, and then down, and to the side, and then down, and then so on and so forth along the next row. And then my third row, again, pointed to the side first, and then pointed up, and then to the side. And then I carried that on all throughout the quilt. So wherever I started and whatever orientation the block above me was, that kind of let me know which orientation the block below it was. And I did that because I wanted to have like this riot of color on the center of my quilt, but I wanted to make sure that if my seams didn't join up perfectly, you weren't going to notice, like a line of deviation or something that comes down. Like you can kind of see on the edge here, I didn't clean up my edge before I sewed it, and now I have like some lines of deviation. I didn't want that to appear on the main quilt, so I was really careful. But when I was assembling this, I was also very careful, and I don't really have very many where these lines don't connect very nicely. Now, this is a no pattern quilt. I just came up with it out of my head, so I don't know how easy it would be for you to be able to recreate it, but that is what I did. And then I will talk about how much fabric I used per section. So I wrote out the numbers of the colors that I used. I had to do this all on Saturday morning because I didn't track it throughout the year. And this year I am going to track it, because this was a lot of work. So anyway, we had 36 days where the temperature was between 31 and 35 degrees. So there's a lot of bright orange. Actually, this is when I will show the overlay of the picture so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Sometimes I think things through. So here's the photo of the whole quilt on the screen for you. I don't know how much detail you can actually make out. And please excuse my husband's feet and any kind of detritus on the sides. It's the only area really in the house that is big enough to hold the that has enough floor space to be able to show the whole quilt, and that the kitchen floor just needs a good scrubbing. So anyway, and I'm too short to get a good photo, so I made my husband take the picture, and that's why you see his feet. Anyway, so as you can see, the center of this quilt is a lot of orange and red. It looks like Connecticut was on fire this summer, and fortunately for us, we were not on fire as opposed to other parts of Canada and the US, but the temperatures definitely indicate how hot it got here. So we had 36 blocks of between 31 and 35. There are only high value blocks. There are no like lows in the 30s, which is nice. Then we had 64 squares or whatever of 26 to 30 degrees. That's all of the red. Going off of memory, I don't believe any of those were lows as well. Actually, no, there are. Some of them were lows. Then we had 81 of between 21 and 25, the pink tone, 99 of 16 to 20, that pinky purple tone, 114 of the 11 to 15, the dark purple, 124 of the light purple, 6 to 10, 109 of the light blue, so 1 to 5, 71 of the mid blue, that's 0 to -4, 17 degrees of the mid to, or of the darker blue, which is -5 to -9. And then I say I have 2 outliers, but I have 3 outliers, so my math still isn't quite mathing properly. But anyway, those are just kind of rough numbers on how many blocks of what, to give you an idea of if you wanted to repeat something like this in the size that you want. The rough cuts would be 1/4 of a yard of the orange. Okay, I shouldn't say that. Before we get into the rough cuts of fabric, I will say my greatest number of colors really is the light blue to the mid-tone pinky purple color. So my greatest range is from about 1 degree to 20 degrees. And that's because these colors acted a lot as highs and lows. So they dispersed more throughout the quilt. If you hear squeaking or rattling, Susie has decided to bring me her mousie. And so she's shaking it in front of me. But anyway, so if you're planning this quilt out first, those are the colors that you need the most. You would probably need the most. So look at your average ranges, and what would be your highs and your lows, and then you can go from there. Like I said, mine sit between 1 degree and about 20 degrees. That's where the greatest number comes from. And my greatest color is between 6 and 10. And then my second one is between 11 and 15. So the middling purple, like the pinky purple, sorry, the light purple is my most used color. And then my dark purple is a close second. Now, also, I will say quickly that this isn't as super accurate as I would have liked it to be, because I was supposed to have 3 blocks at the end of this quilt, and I only have 1 open block. So if we go to here, this is my last block. These are my last rows. And this block here, there should be 3 of them. So I repeated 2 blocks as I went along. I don't know if I have any dark blue besides that one here. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, if you're making something this size, which is about, I don't know. I'll put the size on you. It's supposed to be 16 squares by 23 squares long. So almost 2 rows per month. A little under 2 rows per month, really, right? Because 16 and 16 is 32. But just under 2 rows per month. And on the screen for you are the final dimensions. I want to say that they ended up being, when I sent them to the long arm quilter, I think I told her they were about 54 by 75 inches. But I'm not quite sure now. And I haven't taken a measuring tape to it yet. So, if you wanted to repeat like this quilt and you live in a climate similar to Connecticut, so like New England, the Maritimes, wherever else, I don't know. I'm really terrible at climates and stuff like that. You would need about a 1/4 of a yard of your hottest and coldest fabrics, probably. You would need somewhere in between 1/4 and 1/2 a yard. So what's that? I don't know. I don't know the math. The math isn't mathing very well for me. But I would say to play it safe, order 1/2 a yard of everything. 3/4 of a yard of your hottest fabrics. Like when I was doing the amount that I broke down, my pink tone, which I used 81 times, I used about 1/2 a yard of fabric in that. And then I said I needed 0.68 of a yard. So 3/4 of a yard for my most used color, which was 6 to 10, that light purple. I don't know if that helps you any. Here's my little chart if you want to see kind of my breakdown. But anyway, yeah, so I would say 1/4 of a yard. You could do what I did, and you could just kind of order yourself a jelly roll and then work off of that and see if you need to order more, because I almost didn't need another, like if I'd had like 2 more jelly rolls, I would have had enough probably to do all of my hot, like all of my orange temperature. And for some of the smaller rolls, I didn't use any. Like I only used a couple pieces from that jelly roll. So I don't know if I want to be your guide for amounts when you're preparing for this. But I would say 3/4, 1/2 a yard to 3/4 of a yard of your most used colors, going down to 1/4 of a yard or 1/8 of a yard of your least used colors. And that no matter what, buy colors that you think you can get repeat tones for if you needed to, or if you're not super attached to it, colors that could like work in or swap out if need be. But overall, I'm extremely happy with how this quilt turned out. You can open it to like any point in the quilt Well, see, look at that. It's like fire now. And all of my lines meet up. Everything looks nice. I decided to go with this gray border because someone suggested doing like the light purple or something, and I really, really like that idea. But I didn't want to do any color that appeared in the quilt and highlight a specific color. So I thought the gray was close enough kind of to that light purple that it would work really, really well. But anywhere that you open this quilt to, it all kind of lays out the same. And I really, really like that. I will, when I get it back from the long arm quilter, I will share that with you in the next temperature quilt update, so that you can see what it looks like when it's all finished and bound and happy. But yeah, where are my flying geese? And then I added the flying geese at the very end. I got this inspiration from the Block of the Month Club video that we're going to be talking about in part 3, and I really liked it, so I figured out how to do them and I added them, and I think it adds a little something to the border, and that makes me very happy. So yeah, let's go on to part 2, this year's temperature quilt. So this is the Symphony Block of the Month. This is for part 3. I organized it all into a binder, but on the back I put the temperature quilt from Canuck Quilter Designs. This is the one that I've been talking about. This is the one I'm going to do, and my mother-in-law is going to do it as well. Its rough size is 53 by 70, so kind of close to what the one that I'm making is. And yeah, but this lady, she spent the time and she gave you your temperature kind of variations. This printed in color if you wanted to see what she did. She talked about choosing your fabric, right? Nothing too over the top and floor and pattern, because you don't want it to tack away. She walks you through like how much of each fabric you're probably going to need. Your cutting instructions for regular years and leap years, right? Everything that you're going to need. This is your this is all of your background. All of your daily colors are just 2-inch squares, which is nice. And then this is here to help you build this, right? Your kind of temperature wave. So that's really cool. She walks you how to piece it all together, what position each day of the month is in, how to like attach them all together for you when you're done. And then building, right, your giant rows, joining your rows, doing your border, finishing everything off, and then you're done. So if you wanted to quilt along with me this year, feel free to go over to the Canuck Quilter. It's a free pattern. Basically, they have you sign up for their reading or for their mailing list or something like that. Anyway, follow the links. It'll take you here. I printed this one for myself. My mother-in-law is also following along with me. And yeah, that's what we're doing this year. I wanted to compare like my whole freestyle kind of thing that I did with something that someone took the time and effort into laying out, and then I wanted to see how they all turned out. And with that being said, I am using all of the colors that I used last year. I still have quite a bit left. Of the colors from last year. See, look, This one here says -15 to -20. This one says -10 to -14. This one is -9 to -5. See, so there is some plan. I just messed up in my gradient. Anyway, so these are my strips that I've been working off of. They're still 2.5 inch strips for the most part. Some of them are now down to 2 inches. But I'm using these again because I have so much extra. Like I've got this blue, right, all of these. I've got like extra orange. I've got extra red. I accidentally ordered 2 pinks. When I meant to order like a mauvey purple or that middling purple. This is all I have left is that middling purple, so I'll probably have to order more of that. All right, I've got like dark purple, light blue, mid-tone blue, darker blue, and then I still have leftover jelly roll strips of all of the other colors that I need. And then I ordered a bucket ton of this gray tone. I don't remember what it's called, and I don't know if I took a screenshot of it, but when you're kind of floating around in there, you'll find it. For the background, so I am going to continue with the exact same scale that I did on last year's temperature quilt because I want to compare what the exact same scale looks like done in a different pattern. So as I run out of the original 2.5 by 3 inch cuts, I cut things down now to 2 inches, and then I cut them down into the squares that I need them to be. So like this, these are all 2 by 2 squares on this one. And this is where I'm at as of recording this video. I might start it over again because this is actually the length it's supposed to be. And somehow these are all, like, I know I trimmed some down, but this is 1/4 inch too short. And because I'm so early into the quilt, it might be nicer to just restart it and start fresh. So I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I am a week behind on this quilt. Let's see, I don't know if you actually saw that. I'm a week behind on this quilt, so this afternoon when I'm done getting everything edited and ready to go, I'm going to actually, before I get this video finished being edited, I will do the new strips and add them on so you can see the updated quilt. But it's quite a bit smaller. Like the squares are quite a bit smaller than this one. So here you can see we'll do the blue and the blue. See, I think that's too small too, because like this is a 3 by 3. These are actually, no, that makes sense because these start at 2 inches, so they become 1.5, so they become 3 inches. So you're doing 2 days to one of my days from last year. So it's still supposed to come out to be about the same size, but the squares are a lot smaller. So it's going to be really cool to kind of compare this year's to last year's. And what also is cool is that my mother-in-law is also doing a temperature quilt this year. She was going to do last year's quilt. She was going to do like a couple of different things, and then she decided to do 2024 with me. So we spent like an hour and a half in Fabricland just before I left, helping her plan her gradient. She wanted her gradient to match her home, the kind of colors that she keeps in her house, and specifically she has a throw that she really loves, and she wanted to kind of keep in that theme. So we worked kind of in that kind of in like a silvery greeny gray tone to start, and then we worked out from there. So here's the photo, or you have been looking at the photo as I talk. These are all of the colors that she's using, and because she lives in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, her gradient is going to whip so much larger than mine. Like, I have 11 colors and I probably don't need that many. She has, I think, 14 or 16. Where's my binder? Oh, I threw it on the floor. All right, so in Canada, where she lives, this Celsius temperature scale, let's bring it over so you can see it better. This Celsius scale, temperature scale, her highs and her lows can get larger than this. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, she's got 13 colors here, and my mother-in-law can get higher than 35 degrees Celsius and colder than minus 30 degrees Celsius. So she probably has closer to like a 15 colors in her gradient, 14 colors in her gradient. I think at some point they just, no matter how cold it gets, like below a certain temperature, it's just all the same. And that can be attested to even already in this year. Because they got hit with a polar vortex, and I want to say last year temperatures, like lows, were below minus 40. So yeah, that's where I grew up. So her temperature quilt looks kind of cool. Here's the most recent photo of hers that I have. I'll message her today and see if she has an updated one. But this is what she sent me, her most recent photo that she has. And you can kind of compare it to what I have. And then my cousin is also talking about doing a quilt. So if she actually manages to find the time and make one herself, if she has photo updates, I'll include those for you as well. But as of right now, I don't know if she's had a chance to pick out her colors or get started or anything. So that is this year's quilt, temperature quilt. Again, middling Wednesdays of the month. You can kind of follow along if you like to see what is going on. And now part 3, the block of the month quilt that we're doing. So in, I want to say May, June, somewhere around there, Sewers Club said that they were doing a pre-order for a block of the month club and for a quilt, and I said I hate quilting, but sign me up. They had 2 different colorways that you could choose. You could do the bright colorway or the neutral colorway, and I decided on the neutral colorway. In the pictures that they were showing, the neutral looked more beige, less like muted and gray. But once I got the colors in, it's a bit more on the gray side than the beige side, and I'm not sure about it just yet. But yeah, so this came in. It is by Banyan Batiks by Northcott, and it's called a Symphony. It was designed by Frog Hollow Designs, and they sent over a whole bunch of pages that I ordered a little binder for, so that you could so I could keep it all nice and tidy and organized. So they started you off with your cutting chart, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I was kind of overwhelmed at first with the amount of fabric that they sent. Here's like a stack of it. I posted it to Instagram with how shocked I was at it and how it felt like an overwhelming amount of choice or things to do very first. But what I did is I sat down one night and I cut everything into the strips that they said we should work with, right? Because as you can see in the highlighted bold, there's like, right, you have your strips. So I cut everything down into strips, all 4 pages of them. And then I'm going to keep them as strips, and then as the month comes along, I'm going to then subdivide those strips. They give you like tips, techniques, and then they give you all of your blocks. So block 1 is this month's block, and it's a really simple square in square block. They give you your diagrams, your colorways, and they walk you through everything as you're working on it. So yeah, and then we've got like block 2, block 3, and on and on and on. So we're going to make them month to month. We're going to update them in the middle of each month. I have it all lovingly put away in a tote that I got at Costco. Also, if you have a Costco card, they've got these like 4-packs, I think, or 4 packs of like a decent sized tote for $6, $7, something like that. I picked up one and my husband picked up one for himself as well. So everything is organized into here. Here is a better photo of what it actually looks like, and the size, all that jazz. And then I've recently taken 2 of those totes and moved my stash builder into them because I had smaller totes and they weren't holding it anymore. So anyway, we have all of this fabric is excess fabric from here, from after cutting it. So you can see how beautiful these colors are. They're just very like bluey and gray. And I thought that like they would be more like in this color family and like the beige family, but they're more in like this color family, I would say. Ish, or some in between, I guess. So this is what's left. They give you a bonus table runner that you can make at the end, but this is what I have left, and I'm going to keep them all together with their official color stickers together so that if I mess up somewhere along the way, I do have enough that I can go back in and hopefully fix it. And these are all of the cut fabric. So I've labeled them for their color, fabric number, and then how many of each strip and the size of each strip that I have. And then I'm keeping them also in their rough color matte coordination. So we've got like 16 and we've got 15, and I've already cut pieces off of 15, 14, right? 12, like on and on. They're all cut into their strips. There's some strips that have way more than others. And I'm going to keep them together like this. And then because I'm only really going to this box like once a month, I'm hoping that I can keep it all nicely organized so that I can come back and grab what I need when I need it. So that's the strips. They're all happily cut out. They all live here. They're all using up a lot of my quilting clips. So, oh yeah, and then these here are a very specific thing that I'm not going to need for a long time, so I'm just keeping them separate. But yeah, so that's all of the fabric organized. And then this month's block was really simple. I still have yet to label these. I'm just going to write their number on the back and like a friction pens so that I know. But I made 2 like this, and I made 3 like this, 2 like this. This one's my favorite block. And 1 like this, and 1 like this. I like this block too. So right now they're organized in their number. They're labeled like 1A through 1E, I believe. And yeah, I'm going to clip them together, but I'm going to label which A thing they are so that I can keep it all organized as I go along. And then I had a lot of scrap, like decent sized scrap from these, right? Because when you see I had that much that I cut off of each one, I made a whole bunch of little mini bookmarks. Right, you just slide them onto the edge of your book, close your book up, and then you have mini bookmarks. Each one is different. Each one has 6 pieces of scrap to it. I guess they can be reversible if you want them to be. But I decided for them to be like this. But you know, as you wish. And why am I bringing these up, you might say? Because I've got 12 of them that I made. And that is because they are going to go up on my Etsy shop as 3 random ones for $5. The link to the shop is down below. In like the little message box, you can be like, ooh, I'd like, right, whichever one that you say catches your fancy. But they're all different. No 2 are the same because I kind of just grabbed them as I went along. But yeah, 3 for $12 and or 3 for $5, and I picked them for you. Unless you have like a very specific color you want or something, and then I will try to see if they're left and get them to you. But yeah, so that's just a little bonus thing for you. There's going to be a few new things in the Etsy shop over the next few weeks too. So check back over there for any of that. And so yeah, that is a very long video on my temperature quilt. I wish I could give you better like amounts to buy for the breakdown, but I've only made this quilt once and I wasn't very good at tracking it. So what do you think? How do you feel about last year's quilt? Are you as excited for it as I am? I absolutely love this guy. I am so happy about him. I'm a very much a jewel toned person, and this just, oh, this speaks to me. What do you think of this year's temperature quilt? Are you liking how it's looking, how it's going along? I'm really curious to hear that. And how do you, like, what do you think of the colors my mother-in-law chose? I think her colors are so pretty. I don't know if I would have necessarily have picked them for myself, but I'm so excited to see how they turn out for her. I think they're beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Like I said, not my first choice, but now that I see them, I'm kind of jealous of it. And what do you think of this Symphony Block of the Month quilt that I'm doing? Are you excited for it? Did you pick it up? I ordered it through Sewers Club, but there's a QR code on the very last page, I think, and it takes you to their tutorials. And I think that if you go to Boutique or to Banyan Boutique's website, you might still be able to get this quilt for yourself. I'll take a look, and if they're still available for ordering directly from Banyan Boutiques, I'll leave a link in the description box for you, and I'll let you know on the screen as well if they're available and how much they are. When I was first checking them out a couple of weeks ago when I made these, there were still some kits available. So yeah, you know, close to an hour in. Let me know what you think. I'd be really excited to hear. And now I'm going to go. I have to iron the backing for this so that I can get ready to go. But let me know what you think. Subscribe if you want to follow along on this adventure with me. And I'm going to go. So thank you so much for watching, and I will talk with you again soon. Bye!